Kyrie Cooper.
I'm afraid my speech is not going to be much more positive. My name is Stephen Robert Hogg. I'm a citizen of Portsmouth, Virginia. I'm here to petition my government for a redress of grievances as per my First Amendment constitutional right. My grievance concerns a violation of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which I will read part of for you now. It states, and I quote, "Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law." On the 24th of March 2015, my property, a 2005 Nissan Altima, was deprived from me without due process of law. This unconstitutional action was facilitated by the Portsmouth Police Department in coordination with the Portsmouth Treasury Department. The insufficient justification for this action was a failure to pay unconstitutional property taxes. As we shall see, this is still a violation of due process, and the local statute is invalid justification for the crime. I'd like to make several points why this is an invalid exercise of governmental authority. I would cite the following Supreme Court cases: Stevenson v. Binford, 287 U.S. 251, Buck v. Coy Kendall, 267 U.S. 307. Both of them make a clear distinguishment and are upheld to this day between commercial and non-commercial taxation of people's automotive property. The state may tax at its discretion. They may even tax out the existence of business-related commercial automobile uses, but they cannot do it, according to the Supreme Court of the United States, for personal motor vehicles. I would cite an article from the University of Chicago Law School, Chicago Unbound, which was featured in the Harvard Law Review. It's entitled "Forward Unconstitutional Conditions, State Power and Limits of Consent." It's by Richard Epstein. And I would read the quote: "The right expression of the unconstitutional condition doctrine would be far more restrictive. A state is under no duty to build public highways, just as it is under no duty to charter corporations. If it does build public highways, however, then all persons should have equal access to them, and the state power of regulation and taxation should be directed to the sole end of preventing particular users from externalizing the cost of their own operations upon other users of the systems." In other words, you can tax business, commercial use automobile, but you have no authority to tax my personal automobile. I would like to discuss due process of the 14th Amendment. The Supreme Court classifies it in two categories: procedural due process as well as substantive due process. Concerning procedural due process, which is the laws made by the legislature and what rules they must follow, I would cite Mullane versus Central Hanover Bank and Trust Company, 339 U.S. 306. And I would quote, it says, "Many controversies have raged about the cryptic and abstract words of due process clause, but there can be no doubt that at a minimum they require the deprivation of life, liberty, or property by adjudication be preceded by notice and opportunity for a hearing appropriate to the nature of the case. I received no notice or opportunity of a hearing before my property was deprived of me." For lack of time, well, actually, I'll read it anyways. I think I have enough time. I would also cite Cleveland Board of Education versus Watermill, 470 U.S. 532, the year 1985. "Minimum procedural requirements are a matter of federal law. They are not diminished by the fact that the state may have specified its own procedures that it may deem adequate for determining preconditions to adverse official action." That means that your state and local laws don't mean anything, and they're trumped by the Supremacy Clause of the United States Constitution. You have no authority to tax my personal vehicle. Concerning substantive due process, I would cite Murray's, Lisi, and Hoboken Land Improvement Company, 59 U.S. 272, which states, "No objection has been taken to the warrant on account of any defect or irregularity in which proceedings which precede the proceedings in which precede its issue. It is not denied that they were in conformity with the requirements of the Act of Congress. Its validity is denied by the plaintiffs upon the grounds that so much of the Act of Congress is authorized, it is in conflict with the Constitution of the United States." Meaning, even if you have your local procedures and those are followed. If the law itself is unconstitutional, that's a violation of substantive due process. And it is, in fact, unconstitutional, and this is my last quote. I would cite Sons versus Roe, 526 U.S. 489, and I'm wrapping it up right now. It says, the word travel is not found in the text of the Constitution, yet constitutional right to travel from one state to another is firmly embedded in our jurisprudence, United States versus Guest. Indeed, as Justice Stewart reminded us in Shapiro versus Thompson, the right is so important that it is assertable against private interference as well as governmental action. A virtually unconditional personal right guaranteed by the Constitution to us all.
Thank you.
So, just...
No, sir. Good night.
I just wanted to ask you if you would look into it.
No, sir.
You won't?
Good night. We have some matter over there that will take all of your data and research and.
Okay. That was my
but the
question,
crux
so
of your,
thank you.
yes, sir. Yeah, some of that. Thank you. Ms. Hogg, would you get all of that?
I'm just putting
Madam
my
Clerk?
stuff up.
Yes, sir. Kyrie Cooper is followed by Lakeisha Atkinson.
Where was the lady that I can speak to?
Right over there, some of that, yeah.
Thank you.
What the hell?